This Prismatic build is by far and away my favorite Warlock build, and I wasn't going to make a video about it for a couple reasons. Number one, I thought everybody already knew about it. I used it to beat the Legendary campaign and then saw other extremely popular content creators talking about and using this build. I felt like I didn't need to add my dinky voice to the conversation and started looking for different stuff. The second reason is that it's the kind of build that has nerf written all over it. What it does feels unintended, and as a result, it's easy and powerful. Bungie, typically, doesn't like this kind of thing, so I don't expect it'll be around for long. However, after some encouragement from a friend, I felt it important to add this build to the lexicon of videos I'm working on for a reason we'll get into later. So let's get to it. Starting with the exotic Getaway Artist. Getaway Artist allows us to consume an arc grenade to summon an arc buddy, a turret that auto-targets and does damage to enemies. It's kind of like having a pulse rifle on your shoulder that doesn't need to reload. The arc buddy lasts for 20 seconds, and thanks to Getaway Artist itself, grants 5% grenade energy once per burst. Because of its firing pattern, that translates to a lot more grenade energy than you would think. You can summon the arc buddy with the storm grenade on Prismatic, and this leads to a whole host of powerful synergies. But let's talk about how you should set up the Prismatic subclass to take advantage of those synergies. So, like I said, we're on the Prismatic subclass. For your super, you can pretty much use whatever you want. I'm a big fan of Song of Flame, but there's a case for Nova Bomb as well. For your class ability, Healing Rift, Powering Rift, Phoenix Dive, doesn't matter, use whatever you want. Same for your movement ability, use whatever you want. For your melee, you should use Arcane Needle. Your grenade should be Storm Grenade. This is like one of the few things that you have to have, Storm Grenade. I think you get it in the second mission, so you can start using this pretty early on in the campaign. Though by now, everyone's past the campaign, so I don't know why I even said that. Anyway, moving on. First aspect we want is Bleak Watcher. Second aspect that we want is Feed the Void. For our fragments, we want Facet of Dawn, Facet of Courage, Facet of Protection, Facet of Purpose, and Facet of Dominance. For our stat priority, the main thing that we want to get up first is Discipline. Discipline needs to be at 100. From there, we can focus on Resilience, it'd be nice to get that to 100, and then finally, Recovery. For your weapons, it absolutely does not matter what you use. Use whatever is appropriate for the situation that you're in. If you're in a situation that uses swords, use swords. If you're in a situation that needs linear fusions, use linear fusions. If you're in a situation that uses rockets, use rockets. It's nice to have something with demolitionist like I've got here, but it's not strictly necessary. So the world's your oyster. Use whatever you need to use. For armor mods, in your helm, I would go with siphons for whatever weapons you're using, and ashes to assets. In your gauntlets, I would use as many grenade kickstarts as possible. In your chest, I would use, whatever resist mods you need. In your legs, I'd go with Innervation, Recuperation, and Stacks on Stacks. And then finally, in your class item, I would use either 3 bombers or 2 bombers and a Reaper. Basically, if you're struggling to make orbs with your siphon in your head, put on Reaper. If not, go with 3 bombers. When it comes to your artifact, once again, none of this matters. Use whatever you want for the content that you're doing. Okay, the way this works is you summon your arc buddy, and when you do, you also summon a stasis turret at the exact same time. It sort of drops kind of in your general vicinity. You don't really have control on where it appears. Your arc turret, Stasis Shatter, and Arcane Needle can proc Devour. While active, Devour gives you full health and a portion of grenade energy with each kill. The amount is dependent on the tier of combatant, so minor enemies give like the least amount and then bosses give the most amount. I think bosses are like 50% or something like that. Now that grenade energy gain also synergizes with the grenade energy that you get from weapons that have Demolitionist and from Getaway Artist itself. The result is that it's really easy to have about 4 or 5 stasis turrets firing all at once. Stasis turrets, because they slow and freeze, deal with overload and unstoppable champions really easily. easily. I was running this build in Grandmaster Excision and was able to keep 3 or 4 champs locked down all at once. The debuff from the stasis turrets also empowers the Arc Buddy thanks to Facet of Courage, increasing its damage by about 10%, which I know doesn't sound like much, but can make the difference in certain higher tiers of content. Playing this build is stupid easy. During a fight, eat your arc grenade whenever you can. That's it. That's quite literally it. Which brings me to my final thoughts. This build is the bar for Prismatic Warlock. It is the measuring stick that I use to judge other Prismatic Warlock builds. So far, no other build lives up to this in terms of strength, class fantasy, synergy, and just straight up fun. You can have fun with the Warlock exotic class item, for sure. Fun is 80% of the goal. That's why I'm working on other builds. But as I share those builds, I promise to be honest about where they stack up in terms of strength. Anyway, thanks for joining me. I really hope you try out this build. I imagine when it makes it to PvP, that'll only hasten the nerf, so it probably won't be around for long.